I have no idea why I wanted to talk about this game, but here we are. I remember years ago as a kid I had a couple of those shareware discs. If you don't know what a shareware disc is, essentially is a disc with a load of demos and trials of games on there, and of course the point is that they want you to buy the full versions. Is essentially just an advert. I had a disc and it had a copy of Dr. Lunatic on it. Not Dr. Lunatic Supreme with Cheese, just Dr. Lunatic. And I played it and I enjoyed it. And of course, being a kid, I wanted the full game. Eventually I discovered Dr. Lunatic Supreme with Cheese, which turns out was essentially the same game, but with a lot more content and it's slightly enhanced. A few years later, I finally convinced my parents to buy me a copy of the game, and I enjoyed it. Although I think the demo kind of hid away the biggest problem with the game, which we'll get onto later. Dr. Lunatic is kind of a hard game to describe. So the goal of the game is that you're Boaffa. I'm not kidding you, that is the character's name, and I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it as well. You go around shooting hammers at zombies to collect brains and to finish each level. Obviously there's a lot more to it than that. You know, there's different enemies, there's little puzzles, different environments, but that's the basic core. It's a weird game. It's a very weird game, it's very hard to describe. But it works somehow, I don't know. There's just so many different elements and stuff that it kind of keeps things refreshing. When you play the game you earn coins, and you use those coins to buy other levels and other items that help you. After beating the boss of a world, you also collect keys of lunacy. You use them to open up lockers, which may or may not give you good things. There were also achievements in the game, but they're called gallery goals, and some of them are quite easy and down to earth, other ones were a lot harder. I'll tell you, it was quite difficult unlocking them all. If I had to guess a number, there's probably like 1,000 levels in the game, shared throughout the worlds, and it's kind of bonkers how much content there is. And as you can imagine, with that much content, it is quite hit and miss. There's also a level editor that you can unlock, and it's really good. Like, it's a little bit complex at first, but once you get your head around it, it's really, really good. And you can create some fantastic stuff. There's so much stuff you can do. As I mentioned, the demo version sort of hides the biggest problem with the game. See, the demo levels were really strong, and funnily enough were not included in the main game, though you can install them alongside other levels that people have made. The quality of the levels included in the main game are incredibly hit and miss. There are some great ones, there's some okay ones, and there's some sort of blad ones. There's a fair amount of lesser levels that just aren't that fun to do or kind of tedious. There is one saving grace, and then that is the ability to buy cheats. Now normally I'm not a person who uses cheats in games, but this is like the one exception where I think it's absolutely acceptable. You can buy cheats that will let you basically skip a level. Obviously, skipping a level means you earn no coins, which is something you don't really want to do too often. And the thing is, even if you do skip a level, you still, in most cases, haven't 100% completed it, because most levels, you need to collect all the candles. So you're still kind of stuck playing those levels. But luckily, those levels are in the minority. They just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. And I wish there was just a little bit more quality control. I mean, I'm aware that there's quite literally a set of levels that were made by kids. And that's kind of sweet that Mike Kamel, the game's creator, would include them. But I think maybe a little bit more quality control would have been nice. Because ultimately, you don't want to be paying for something that is substandard. But now, the game is 100% free, and that's official. I'm going to put a link in the description to where you can download it. I definitely recommend giving it a go, despite the game's issues and the fact that visually it hasn't aged that well. And I'm not just recommending it because it's free, because there is a lot of free stuff out there that is not worth your time. But this is. And a big reason why I like the game is that it's just weird. Like, unapologetically weird. And stupid. But that's all completely on purpose. And I would love to see another game in this series. Either like a remake or just a downright new game, because there's something special about Dr. Lunatic that's just I haven't seen in any other games. I enjoyed playing it, and if you do, I hope you enjoy playing it too. And honestly, if you end up playing the whole game, you're probably going to get at least like a couple of 100 hours out of it, which for something that's completely free, that is crazy. One thing I forgot to mention is that back in the day when you could actually purchase this game, you could either buy a digital version or a digital and physical version. And I went for the physical one because I just thought it'd be nice to have the disc. And out of curiosity, I contacted Mike Kamel, the game's creator, to how many copies there were made. And he estimates between 1,000 and 2,000. Although he admits it's a bit of a wild guess because he generally doesn't really know. So yeah, this is obviously the rarest game I own by a mile. And I'm hoping in the future it becomes really expensive and I can retire on it.
You are a moron!